Good evening. I'm Tre Tailor, and you have joined us for the nightly edition of Coping with COVID. My coping with COVID has to do with the wonderful opportunity to help raise a 4-year-old and an 18-month-old, and in between being tutu, which is what they call me, tutu, and now teacher and cafeteria worker and referee and everything else. It is good to have this time when the kids are asleep and we can have a great conversation with Merrell Johnson. A part of the coping with COVID is dealing with everything that's going on. Merrell is with MIRCI-Mental Illness Recovery Center in Columbia, South Carolina. Merrell, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tre. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I said that I do have the kids, and usually when I do the broadcast during the day, I always tell people anything could happen. And I guess I still need to say that because although they're asleep, anything could still happen. So they're downstairs asleep, but we'll see. So listen, the Mental Illness Recovery Center, I really wanted to talk to you today. And we were talking about this before the broadcast. It's interesting. I had a conversation with, I just heard something. I had a conversation with my own counselor, Cheryl Williams with Agape Counseling and Training Center last Monday for an evening interview. So it seems like Monday evenings are the time to have this mental health conversation.
Mental Health Monday, that's right.
I love that. Let's do that. Mental Health Monday. I like that. Monday. That's why you're in marketing and PR. But yeah. And you are a director of development and marketing at a mental illness recovery center. That's right. Merrell, like we were saying with Cheryl last week, this is affecting people on so many levels. I mean, financially, emotionally, people are losing their friends and family members and cannot properly or grieve like they traditionally have. They can't go to a funeral. I participated or viewed a funeral online today with my girlfriend in New York. And if it had been differently, I would have been there for her, And of course, people are afraid they're going to get ill. They're afraid for their loved ones, again, financially. And people are having a problem, challenges in dealing with it. The other thing is people are cooped up in the house. Yeah. Like me, you have the children that are with you all the time. So are you seeing more people that are utilizing your services?
Well, so let me back up and kind of tell everyone, if you don't mind, what MIRCI
No, yes, please.
Because I want to answer your question and I want it to be as clear as possible.
Absolutely.
Our models that we have a youth model and adult model. And our youth model is to help with early intervention and prevention.
I love that.
For youth who are aged 17 to 24 who are at risk of being homeless. And so we do that by providing transitional housing for young men. And we also have a youth drop-in center that helps individuals, men or male or female, who might just have a rough home life. And they might need a place to come and take a shower, wash their clothes, get a hot meal. We have doctors on staff. It is considered a pharmacy there. We have clinical counselors there to provide help and give them someone to talk to. And then our adult side, which is our oldest model. We've been in the community since 1960. That model is designed for individuals who have experienced chronic homelessness for a significant period of time and who now have a severe and persistent mental illness. And so on the youth side, the goal is to keep something traumatic from turning into a severe and persistent mental illness where they won't have to come to our adult side. And on the adult side, that's where we're providing them with behavioral health care treatment to treat brain diseases, permanent housing, getting them signed up for benefits. We have our friendship center. So even after they're in our services, they can always come and learn how to properly wash their hands and what it means to cook and wash clothes, because they're going to need care and treatment for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And so that whole process, it starts from a homeless outreach point of view, and then it rolls all the way into getting them housed and making sure we're maintaining and keeping them safe and stable.
That is so good.
It's a lot of work. And, before I even started working for MIRCI, I worked for the judiciary. I was introduced to MIRCI through Leadership Columbia, and I fell in love with them because oftentimes we would treat the symptom, but we won't finish. Right. And MIRCI does a really good job of doing that. So to answer your question, back in the early part of March, when we realized this was going to be something that was going to shut down the city, we had to pivot the way we worked. And we knew that our clients would need us more than ever. And so in order to keep our clients that were currently in our services from experiencing manic behaviors or having manic breaks, we decided that we were going to increase the amount of times we did our visits. We were going to do things a little differently. A lot of it is telemedicine now, but our check-ins have gone from 3 times a day to 5 times a day. And so I think because of that intensive care and that check-in every day and making sure the clients still have the basic needs like the the super hard to find now toilet paper and Lysol, making sure they still have that stuff helps to keep people who are nervous and anxious calm. And so we've been doing that. And so as of right now, the increase in symptomatic behavior has increased ever so slightly. And I think we're very lucky for that right now. But I think it's also a testament to all of our case managers and our doctors and nurses on staff who are making sure that everyone is safe and stable.
Jen Mitchell is watching, and Merrell, he says this is such an important topic to discuss. You're right, Jen, because, Merrell and I were talking about this off the air. And I think we all of us have something that we struggle with, and there's so many things to say about this. Merrell could experience the same thing I experienced. I could experience the same thing my brother experienced. He and I grew up in the same household, and he and I have responded and reacted to the same parents raising us so differently. So it is such an individual thing. And the problem is that's why I'd love that you have a youth component, is if we don't get a handle on the things that are giving us challenges, if we don't find the right way to cope with things early, it follows us through the rest of our lives. And it manifests in different ways.
It does.
You could become a liar. You can become a thief. You could just become angry, hard to deal with. It affects your jobs. It affects your personal and professional life. And I think we all know that person, in our office, in our circle, that we feel she just ain't quite right. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, he or she. And it's probably something that they've just not put their hands on or not dealing with it. Because particularly in our community, in the African-American community, you don't talk about stuff like that.
You don't.
And you sure don't get treatment for it.
You absolutely don't do that. And I'm glad you brought that up, Tre, because, that last age of cognitive development, that 17 to 24 gap, is so vital. And we know that that's when, psychosocial disorders make themselves most prevalent. And we also know that if you can get ahead of that, and you can offer safe and stable environments and that one person that you can talk to and that you can trust, that you can reduce a situational depression or a situational mental illness by about 70%.
Right.
And so, when MIRCI opened the Youth Drop-In Center, we were like, okay, this is going to be different because the way we do outreach with our adults is going to be completely different. And we have to figure out the patterns of youth and the, teenagers and young adults, and we have to meet them where they're at, which has always been our model. But when you haven't done it before, you're like, we have to learn this. And so a lot of research goes into it. We had a lot of partners in the community who helped us do it. And we've been seeing some really great results so far. The scariest part with our youth drop-in center is that we have seen, I think we estimated about 76 youth a year. And coming up on our 3rd year, we've already seen over 400. And so what that means is that there's a much greater need than we ever anticipated.
Well, you know what, Merrell, that's good and bad. It is unfortunate that you're seeing more kids, but it's good that you are seeing more kids. You know what I mean? that they are coming in. And I love that, you mentioned the youth component again, because that's a component that we don't even think about with coping with COVID. I think mostly about adults dealing with their finances and things of that sort, job uncertainty, health uncertainty. But these young people are dealing with it too. Loss of their friends, loss of a schedule. I'm going to tell you, even my 4-year-old grandson, he is, he started exhibiting some behaviors. And I was like, where is this coming from? And his teacher said, it could be because he's out of his schedule. And he doesn't know how to articulate that he is a little bit off. You know what I mean? So I just started talking to him more about it and putting him on a schedule, you know. So it even starts as young as that. Some people, these college students, these high school students, they have to forego their graduations in many cases. That's stressful.
It is. It's very stressful. I have a nephew, 17 years old. He's scheduled to graduate this June, early part of June. And so I already had the conversation with him. I was like, Marcus, how do you feel if you won't be able to walk? And of course, Marcus has always kind of been like laid back. He's like, I really don't care. As long as I get to, get my diploma and move on. And I was like, well, at least there's that. And he knows that he can talk to us about it if he is not happy with it. But there are a lot of his friends who have been like waiting for this for a really long time. This is a big life event and they're, in their timeline, and they won't be able to experience it.
Well, and I know you're not a clinician. I know you're over development and marketing, but I want to ask, I don't know if you even know if you can answer this. What do you tell a young person who is coping with COVID, having a hard time, a difficult time, challenging times, dealing with all of this? Again, and everything from not being able to walk to losing touch with their friends. To be out of the schedule, to perhaps even losing a family member or a friend.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I do with my nephew. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Mercy on this one because I'm not a clinician, but one of the things that Matt Caldwell, our youth services director, always tells me when I'm dealing with Marcus and also my younger nephew, Michael, is validate their feelings. Listen, I feel like, and I don't know if this has happened with anybody else, but when I was growing up, I didn't have any business. When I was growing up, you don't close the door. You don't pay no bills in this house.
That's right.
Me you didn't have any of that.
You didn't.
And to a certain
you just dealt with what was going on. Yeah.
Right. Right.
No opinions. Yeah.
Well, in the middle of a pandemic, let's throw that out for a little bit, okay? Because the same way we're as adults dealing with, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with this car payment now that I'm furloughed? Or, oh my gosh, do I have enough food in the house because my kids don't use their school stomach when they're at home? They're dealing with things too. Oh my gosh, I won't be able to see my friends. Oh my gosh, I still have a lot of books in my locker. I'm having a hard time studying. Studying at home is completely different than studying at school. Everyone who's working from home is like, this is stressful. I feel like I can't disconnect. There's no one there to answer questions for me. So they're experiencing the same thing. And I think and Marcus and I love my baby, but we don't talk for 2 hours. That's not our thing. We might do a 15-minute touch here and there. Last week we talked for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I was like, this is so different.
Wow.
But I also recognize that he needed that. And to be quite frank, I think I needed that too. I haven't been able to see my family in over 2 months, and they live about 45 minutes away. And it's kind of hard knowing with everything going on that that you really can't, go and hug them and tell them that you love them and you care about them. But just validating their feelings, listening to them, giving them the decency and respect, I think goes a really long way, because at the end of the day, we all just want to be heard.
Right. Yeah. And don't shrug off their feelings, and think, oh, you're young. You don't have anything to worry about. You're not dealing with it like I'm dealing with it. I mean, that goes back to what we said originally, that everyone deals with things differently, and it's all valid.
Right.
It's all valid.
It's all valid.
Yeah.
It's 100% valid.
Yeah. So what are some of the services and resources that Mercy can provide, again, both youth and adults, that just think they need someone to talk to? Because that's what it is, and I want to stress more of what it is, but I do want to know first, what services do you guys provide? All
right. Buckle up. So we'll start with our youth side. I think in my mind, I'm thinking linear and age-wise. And so now that we have our youth services division, if you are a youth between the ages of 17 and 24 and you are at risk or are experiencing homelessness, our youth drop-in center is open 365 days a year. Now,
but it's only for homeless students, right? It's only for homeless young people.
Or at risk of homelessness.
Or at risk, so okay.
If you were living in a household that might not be the best for you, you're always stressed out there, you can always come by our youth drop-in center.
Okay.
And the Youth Drop-In Center encompasses so much. We help youth get jobs. We help them get in school, along with washing clothes, and we have lockers available for them and feeding them and just giving them that safe place to, relax and chill out for a little while. We have a doctor who comes every Friday, and she can do evaluations. We have counselors on staff, so if you do need a therapist, a licensed therapist, there's someone there for that. We have peer support specialists, so people who have actually experienced what it's like to live in foster care, and people who've actually experienced what it's like to be homeless. And now they're actually licensed and credentialed to actually provide help to those who are coming up. They're being mentors to them. And it's a long process. I don't want anyone thinking that this is something that happens in 30 to 90 days. That's not how it works when you have a mental illness. It's lifelong. And also, excuse me, I do not have coronavirus. Just that allergy.
Well, if you do, we are social distancing.
We're all safe. And so what happened is, from that age 17 to 24, you can always come into the Youth Drop-In Center and get services, get help, get something to eat. And, after you have your evaluation, if the doctors feel like you need further care, then you can graduate into our adult program.
Okay, so stop there. So let's start with so this is the youth program at MIRCI. This is Merrell Johnson. He's with MIRCI, the Mental Illness Recovery Center in Columbia, South Carolina. He's talking to us today about how MIRCI can help you cope with COVID. They not only have adult services, which he's getting ready to get into, but he just outlined the youth services that they offer for homeless and at-risk young people. Tell me the age again, Merrell.
It's ages 17 to 24.
17 to 24. Okay. Now, was that it for the youth?
Well, the only thing I wanted to add is that we do offer permanent housing and transitional housing.
Oh, wow.
And so, and that's actually new. We're the only ones in the Midlands doing it. And it's really neat. It's really cool, but it actually provides an opportunity for homeless youth to get housed. And as you know, right now, being housed is really important. So we're really proud of that.
Now, for adults, tell us what services you offer.
Okay, so for the adult side, very similar and just slightly different. We do have a homeless outreach team. And so one of the things I think was most inspiring to me when I started with MIRCI was realizing that, people ask the question, how do you become homeless, and then how do you find our services? Well, there's a team. There's a team of licensed professionals who understand what this outreach process should be like. And the process can take anywhere from 30 days to 2 years. So oftentimes in my mind, I'm like, if someone came to me and said, look, I can get you food, I can get you housed, I can make sure you're seeing a doctor. And if I was homeless, I'd be like, that sounds like a deal. Let me jump in, right? But when you have been homeless for 25 years, your way of life, and you talked about schedule, is completely different.
It is. That's your normal.
That's your normal.
That's your normal.
That's your normal. And so our outreach team works and they work hard. We have a really good team. They work hard and they do a lot of engagement for a long time to finally get people into our doors, into our clinics to see our doctors. And that's the next step. Working with our doctors and being evaluated to see if you actually have a severe and persistent mental illness and that you might need treatment for it. And if that's the case, then we instantly get you involved in treatment. And then we also get you involved in housing. And we also get you signed up for your benefits. So you'll have disability, SSI, SSDI, food stamps, all of that stuff. We have a team that works to get you that. We have a payee office, which will help you manage your money if you're a client of ours. We have our friendship center that is life skills. One of the things I realized after working at MIRCI is once you've been homeless for 25 years, sometimes you forget to turn the oven off. And so we have a team that teaches, safe ways to cook. We have a team that teaches this is why this is why hygiene is important. We have a team that talks about safety when it comes to kitchen and in the house and just, locking your doors and that kind of thing. And so it's not something that you do one time. It's something that you have to be reminded of over and over and over and over again. And so there's a medical aspect of it and there's a clinical aspect of it, but we believe in treating the whole person.
Right.
And if you think, Tre, or anyone who's watching, have you ever gone to the doctor and they release you? What's the first thing you do? You go home, you get in bed, and you rest, right? I mean,
you should.
So, you should. Well, and if you don't have a home to go to, it makes recovering really, really difficult. And so we recognize, okay, we want to get you treated, but then we also want you to go home and rest and recover.
Right. Oh, Lord, we've lost Merrell. We were talking to Merrell Johnson with MIRCI-Mental Illness Recovery Center. He was giving us information about the various services that they provide. They not only provide services for young people ages 17 to 24, but they also provide services for adults. They do focus on those young people who are homeless or at risk of being homeless. And not only do they provide food and clothing and shelter, they also provide several resources, including life skills. I think Merrell is joining us again right here. So we're going to get him back on the air. Hey, Merrell.
Sorry.
It's okay. Technology.
I have the worst luck with technology, y'all.
It's okay.
It's going to happen.
So thank you so much for joining us again. Merrell Johnson with MIRCI-Mental Illness Recovery Center. You were telling us about the services you offer for adults. Now, I wanted to ask, so for the youth, it's at risk and homeless. Is it the same demographic of people for adults, at risk and homeless?
So for adults, by the time you've been homeless for a really long time by the time you come to us. So there are a lot of people, we have been seeing a lot of is people who recognize how close they are to being homeless now that this pandemic is taking place.
Right.
Because we are a nonprofit and we are federally funded by HUD, we have a lot of guidelines we have to stick to. And so unless you've been chronically homeless for at least a year or over, I guess, a period of 4 years, 3 times over a period of 4 years, you cannot seek our services for housing. But that does not mean there are not options out there for you. And so that is one of the things we've really been talking about now, because a lot of people are seeing that. And so on our website is mirci.org. And if you go to newsroom, the newsroom tab, and scroll down, you'll see a link called resources. Mm-hmm. And there are, I think, at least 20 national and local resources there that people can seek help for. And our biggest one that we have really been referring people to is the Department of Mental Health, their local Department of Mental Health office, to talk about seeking therapy and seeking treatment. Here in Columbia, there are a lot of our partners who are providing permanent housing, and those are listed on our website. I cannot see our website right now, and I'm too scared to touch anything to even try to pull it up. So I will say, please feel free to go check it out. You can also give our office a call. My number at the admin building is area code 803-786-1844, and I'm in extension 103. And I'll be more than happy, you connect with me and you're like, look, I might need this. I can get you in touch with somebody in one of our offices, whether it's our Rosewood Clinic or our Youth Drop-In Clinic, and see maybe if they can help guide you to some place that can help. We do oftentimes have a lot of people who come and they don't fit the definition of what HUD says we should be doing. And so we can't do this alone. And so we have to reach out to our partners in the community. Right now, a lot of people are not having the happiest thoughts and are contemplating suicide. I ask you, please don't do that. Please give us a call first, and we can help you. On our website, there is a number to the National Suicide Hotline. In the Black community, I want us to quit pretending like we don't do that. We most certainly do. And there's help out there for you.
Yeah. So, Merrell, I'm so glad that you said that, because even if this is not something that you can help someone with, you have resources and you have referrals that you can give people. So please, 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 if you don't know who to contact someone. And if you don't know someone, please contact Merrell. He's with the Mental Illness Recovery Center. Whether or not you think what he has described fits your situation, and it may or may not, you may be someone who is struggling with keeping a roof over your head because of COVID-19. But if that's not you, if you're feeling some stress, some anxiety, if you are eating more than you usually eat, if you are drinking more than you usually drink, if you are screaming and hollering more, if your behavior is a little bit off, it's okay. 1, to say, I need some help. And 2, family and friends to say, maybe you need some help.
Right.
Maybe you need some help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. There is help available for
Right.
people who need help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. I told this story last week, Merrell, and I want to tell it again. When I was living in Charlotte, I was working at a radio station, and there was a guy, a Caucasian guy, who would come from the rock station. And the rumor about him was that he was crazy. You know, he's so crazy, and that he was taking medication. And I just had an epiphany one day. It was so crazy. I was walking down the hallway of the radio station, and it clicked in my mind. This is a Holy Ghost moment, I'm sure. Who's the crazy person? Him, for recognizing he needs help and taking medication, or you and the people that are laughing at him for taking medication?
You know, Tre, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because oftentimes we don't take mental illness serious, right? Seriously. It is a brain disease.
Yeah.
It is a chemical imbalance, and it can be treated with medication. But also, you know, you brought up the whole laughing at somebody and the whole crazy thing. And that has been something over the past year that I have really become magnetized towards, because it does stigmatize mental health and mental illness. And one of the things I have been really working toward, as I'm sitting around, I have great doctors and nurses and counselors around me all day long, is I want to make sure I'm using the right language.
Right.
And so when I talk about somebody who has a substance abuse disorder, or somebody who might be contemplating suicide completion, those are terms that I need to make sure that I'm well aware of, and that I know how to talk about in a healthy manner. Because at the end of the day, if someone is seeking treatment, good for them. If someone is actually going to get help, good for them. Like, why not? Like, it's an investment in yourself at the end of the day.
That's right. If you cut yourself, if you hurt yourself physically, you would go to the doctor. So this is a mental thing, and it is real. As you say, I love that you say, Merrell, it's a chemical imbalance. People really are bipolar. People really are schizophrenic, and it can be treated with medication. And why not get whatever it is you need to be okay, so that you can live a healthy, productive life? How scared are you? Are you more scared to be well or to be ill? Are you more scared to be talked about, or to do what you need to do so that you can have a good life and have a productive life, and with your family and friends?
And I'm glad that you said that too, because, you know, we all have a responsibility to respect the next person.
That's right.
And it reminds me of my friend. She passed away a few years ago. Her name was Tanya, but she used to always say, if you can, it was the quote, her favorite quote by, I think, Gandhi or someone, I can't remember, but it used to say, if you can help someone, help them. But if you can't help them, whatever you do, don't hurt them.
Don't hurt them, yeah.
And sometimes I don't think we realize, you know, making little comments like, oh, they're crazy, or like, that is painful. That is inflicting harm on someone.
It is.
So allow us to normalize the conversation around mental health and mental illness. Let's make it part of our daily conversation, just because it should be.
Yeah. And just like you said, just like it makes sense and it's important to validate a young person's feelings, it's important to validate the feelings of those people who are having a little harder time than maybe one of us. As you said, we said this early in the conversation. If you're dealing with something a little better, that doesn't mean somebody else is dealing with the same thing. You can't brush off, oh, I'm dealing with this. I lost my job too. I'm okay. Well, you don't know what they've lived through in their lives. You don't know, you know, what they dealt with yesterday or 10 days ago or 10 years ago. You don't know their story. So you don't know why they're not able to deal with things. And a lot of it, and we talked about this too, is how you were raised, the experiences of your childhood. Oftentimes, you are not able to handle things today because you didn't get the treatment that you needed when you were growing up.
And 20 years ago.
Yeah, it just festers. It just festers, you know?
Yeah.
And I listen, I'm not only talking from experience because I've seen it, I've been there, I've lived it, I've seen it in people, and I've been there myself. And it takes time, because here's the thing: if you don't get treatment for it, a couple of things could happen. You could come to the realization yourself that I need some help. I am the common denominator in everything going wrong in my life. Things keep happening to me. The same thing keeps happening to me. And you can be courageous enough to say, I want to get some help for this. Or you never realize it and you just keep spiraling down and lower and lower and lower. And it becomes much more of an unproductive life for you.
Right.
So we have to recognize, especially now, as we are all coping with COVID in all of our different ways, to pray for one another, to validate someone's feelings and their emotions and things that they do and say. Recognize your family and friends. Look for things. Ask them, are you okay? How are you handling this? And get them some help or refer them to some help.
Right.
First, talk to them, but tell them it's okay to get the help you need. It's a thin line between sanity and insanity.
It really is. If you think about it, so I'm going to take me, for example. This is COVID face right now. I feel so much better about myself when my hair is cut, when my face is shaved, when I've lost a little bit of weight. I feel just more confident in general.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm using the excuses of COVID-19, but this was also Merrell during grad school. So I've had those moments where I'm just like, I'm not feeling my best. The good news is that I have a really strong, high quality village around me that's like, all right, Merrell, you can get your hair cut. Not right now because of coronavirus, and we're going to give you a pass on that one. But definitely when I was in grad school, it's like, go take 20 minutes, an hour to yourself, get your hair cut, and get yourself feeling like you belong in like a professional setting.
Right.
For a lot of our clients who come in, they want to get jobs, and we recognize and we understand some of them, they're just not going to be able to go back to work. But we do want to make sure they have a sense of purpose. And so we're always searching for opportunities for them to volunteer and give back to the community, because that's where I find my happiness at. I work and I give back via my work. But, I also like just being out and about in Columbia, and my city is my lifeblood. And we do a lot of that for our clients too. So if you are right now not feeling your best, or you're feeling tired because you have to play teacher and cafeteria lady and maid and all of that.
I'm throwing my hands up.
Reach out to a friend and tag them and say, look, I just need 20 minutes so I can walk around this block, get some sunshine, and then you can tag me in 20 minutes. I think that's really important also. And let's not forget, I think we do this in our office a lot, just check in and say, hey, how's everything going?
How's everything going? Yeah.
We're still showing up to the office. We don't really get the luxury of staying at home. And
you're essential.
I'm essential.
You're essential.
But I'm glad, I actually talked to our executive director, Ms. Julianne, about it, and I told her, I'm glad that I actually get to come in, because I would just be so bored trying to do my job at home. I'd go stir crazy. I'd be looking at the dog. I'd be like, I need to clean this. I need to do this. And I would never get out. And so I'm very thankful that I still get to come into the office, do what we do, and tell the world about what we're doing, and try to help the community as much as possible. But a lot of people I understand can't do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people right now are getting furloughed. And a lot of people right now are trying to, make $1 out of 15 cents. Which also brings me to another thing. I know that people are probably, there's a lot of information being passed around about different resources out there just to help with daily life. Our state paper posted an article today about the free clinic that we have downtown on Washington Street.
Oh, good.
So if you do not have insurance right now because you've been, for whatever reason, I don't even care what the reason is, they are available. I'm very happy to know that we have that resource in Columbia.
And how can people access that, Merrell?
Oh gosh, you can just go to Google and type in their the Columbia Free Healthcare Clinic, and their number will pop up. Free mental health care clinic? This is not a mental health care clinic. This is just, you can go get dentistry work done or anything.
Oh, good. That's good.
For us, if you are needing for mental health, you can NAMI is a good partner of ours, the National Association of Mental Illness, and we have a Mid Carolina chapter here. We respect them very much in the work they do in the community. I highly suggest you reach out to them. And also the Department of Mental Health here in Columbia. Their number is it's 803-898-8255. 1-888-444, I believe.
Okay. All right. We'll put all of that stuff in the post. We just want to make sure people get the resources that they need. Again, it may not be a big thing. You know, I don't want you to start thinking about mental illness as being something that I'll never have it, or I'm not experiencing what this other person experiencing. If you're having some challenges coping with what's going on, if you are fearful, if you are stressed out, if you are afraid, if you are overeating, if you are over drinking, if you are doing excessive things, if you find yourself crying uncontrollably or sad a lot of the times, or screaming and hollering uncontrollably. I know the kids are stressing you out, but if it's just so much stress, you may think about just calling somebody. Call Merrell, and if MIRCI doesn't have what you need, he can point you in the right direction. Here's the thing. Just talk to somebody. Pick up the phone and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
People are in place to help you, and you can get through this. If I was not a believer, I don't know how I would get through this. I mean, I know there were times in my life, Merrell, I remember where, I have been, not crying on the bed. I was under the bed, crying.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of negative things. I had a lot of, I'm just going to be transparent, a lot of non-productive behavior. And I went through some things in my childhood. I went through some things in my teens and my 20s and my 30s. And it took me a while before I could get a hold on what was happening and why it was happening and doing something about it.
Absolutely.
So I just want people to recognize the importance, not only the importance of doing something, but the acceptance. It's okay to get what you need for yourself.
That's right. It really is.
Just get what you need for you.
Yeah.
Get what you need for you.
I think a lot of people are hesitant to go about getting the help they need because they're worried about the social judgment.
Yes.
And it reminds me of that old saying, the people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind. So, and believe it or not, you matter to yourself. So don't mind it. Go ahead and take care of it. Right. Go ahead and take care of it. Knock it out.
Give us the phone number again, Merrell, for MIRCI-Mental Illness Recovery Center.
Yes, you can call me at the admin office. Our number is 803-786-1844, and I'm an extension 103.
All right, 786.
1844.
786-1844. And ask for Merrell Johnson. And if he does not have the resources available at MIRCI, he can point you in the right direction.
That's right.
Merrell Johnson with the Mental Illness Recovery Center in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all that you do and for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I see you didn't go get your haircut with Todd. That was an earlier show. We talked to a state representative, attorney Todd Rutherford, who said that he was cutting his own hair and his boys' hairs. And Merrell said, "Oh, you got haircutting going on over there? I'm gonna get my haircut." I like the look. I like the TWA, your teeny weeny afro. I like your TWA.
I've been calling it the microphone. I'm like, this is pretty bad right now. And like, you can't go in any place and get a good pick or anything like that. So I'm just like, this is just a little uneven afro right here. And
I like it. I like all of this. I really like that.
I don't know how much longer that's going to last. I feel like it ages me about 10 years. So
well, I think it looks sophisticated.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. As always, I leave with an excerpt from Jesus Calling. Today's Jesus Calling says, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Hear me saying, peace be still to your relentless heart. No matter what happens, God says, I will never leave or forsake you. Let this assurance soak into your mind and your heart until you overflow with joy." The media relentlessly proclaims bad news for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A steady diet of that fare will sicken you. Instead of focusing on fickle, ever-changing news broadcasts, tune into the living word, the one who is always the same. Let scripture saturate your mind and heart, and you will walk steadily along the path of life. Even though you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, you can be absolutely sure of your ultimate destination. I hold you by your right hand, and afterwards I will take you into glory. Thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. We had two great shows today, one with attorney Todd Rutherford that talked about the governor's plans for opening up some more businesses. Check that out. And of course, today with Merrell Johnson with the Mental Illness Recovery Center. Please continue to post and share and push this out so that more people can get this information. Want to say hi to Maxine Moses. She says you look great, Merrell. And,
she's my biggest cheerleader. I love her.
Yeah. And my cousin in Florida, she says, hello, Aunt Tre Tailor. She's my cousin, but she says love from her and her son and her husband. Thank you so much, Alley Cat, for watching. I appreciate it. So tomorrow, we're going to talk with Tasha Nicole about some services that she has to offer the community while they're coping with COVID. And also going to try to get Baron Davis with Richland 2 on. They're having a virtual career fair for Richland 2. If we don't get Baron on tomorrow, please, if you're looking for a job in the education field, go to the Richland 2 website and check out their virtual job fair. Until tomorrow, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Merrell is back with us.
I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. Please be sure to like my page, Tre Tailor. Also go to my public page, Tailor Made Productions, and also Tre Tailor. Like and follow so that you can get all of this great information that we've been sharing on coping with COVID. Be safe, be well, and remain blessed. Thank you so much. And Merrell, thank you. Take good care, darling.
All righty. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.